in Kenya, and welcome to Live Saga TV. Of course, there is a lot happening out there. Now, one of the situations that has happened is that the police, or rather somebody suspected to be a police but dressed in civilian, actually went to the Nairobi University and poured, or rather sprayed, live bullets to some of the hostels where students are. Maybe let me just show the footage. And then speculation say that students of Nairobi actually proved to the president that he's one term. And of course, some people even stood in the rain to remind him of the same. A humiliation that possibly has attracted this kind of reaction. Otherwise, people don't understand why this would happen. Why would this happen? So let's check at this and we can proceed to the next.
According to newly circulated footage and reports, he fired 3 shots directly through a window of a building believed to host mostly university students. The video, now viral nationwide, captures a tense nighttime operation. A man dressed in plain clothes approaches the residential building. He is not alone. He appears to be in the company of other men who gain entry into the building. While his colleagues move inside, he positions himself at a window, then fires 3 times. Inside, chaos, screams, panic, young Kenyans ducking for cover in a confined room as bullets rip through the darkness. Voices are heard shouting commands. Everybody lie down, hands up, don't lie to each other, bring your hand. Is forcefully tactical, as if clearing a hostile zone. Expect this was reportedly a house party.
Alright guys, it's not a normal situation for a hostel that actually has students residing from really being attacked in this way, and up to now nothing has really been said so much based on this. Some few days ago, Murkomen, as the CS of Interior Security, was questioned a lot in Parliament why insecurities and the reaction of police towards the citizens is such a violent one. And of course, in Kakamega, a group of 6 armed men has come out to attack a police station in Mias. Let's just check on this as well and see what happened here.
On 2 motorbikes and said they had gone to the station to report a stolen motorcycle, only to launch a deadly attack. They made away with 2 G3 rifles loaded with 20 rounds of ammunition each. The police officers injured and a woman were taken to Bungoma West Hospital, where one is in critical condition. A search for the missing rifles and spent cartridges is currently underway, with the motive of the attack yet to be established.
Jana nimesikia mlio sana, nikashtuka sana nini nafanyika. Nilikuwa nafikiria transformer imelipuka huku, kumbe polisi wamevamiwa huku. Mimi jambo yangu ya kwanza inaenda kuchumba Murkomen, waziri mkuu wa maafisa. Kitu ambacho nakuomba Kichumba Murkomen, ushughulika na hata polisi ambao wako reserve, maana hawakui considered, wanawachwa tu kama wako huko kuna amani. Hapana, huko kwamba pia kuna watu ambao wanaweza wavamia, na polisi wetu wameuliwa, na tusikii vizuri, tumekasirika kama wakaji, na hatufurahii kitendo hata kidogo.
Walete polisi wengine waongeze na stima na CCTV. Yes. Juu mimi ni Mukuru village elder. Omwama akinipigia simu saa 3, siwezi nikafika hapo. Kwa sababu gani? Sina silaha yoyote. Na hiyo vitendo yenye imefanyika hapa leo, si mapolisi na wako na bunduki. Sasa mtu kama mimi naweza toka saa hiyo?
Chini hapa waliua professor lecturer. So hii area sio area yenye security ya inji waone ni area nyingine reserve, ni area yenye iko na changamoto.
Alright guys, away from that we have fear growing as a Kenyan man is hunted by the Russian mercenaries. Let's see this.
Festus Arasa Omwamba has been charged with the trafficking of 25 Kenyans at the Kahawa law courts after a push and pull on the legitimacy of an anticipatory bail issued at the Milimani law courts in June 2025 and extracted in February 2026.
Between 1st December 2024 and 24th September 2025 at Great Wall Gardens in the river area of Boko sub-county within Machakos County, with another before court traffic by recruiting 25 Kenyans.
While opposing his bail, the prosecution told the court that Omwamba had initially reached out to the police at Moyale border stop over threats on his life, allegedly by Russian mercenaries.
The accused has received threats on his own life through the communication that Jonah that was undertaken between himself and the investigators.
Omwamba will spend the night at Muthaiga police station before the court cross-examines the investigating officer tomorrow, after which a ruling on his bail application will be delivered.
The issue remains in abeyance until it is determined one way or the other.
Meanwhile, KTN tracked down medical facilities named in the NIS report to Parliament. At one of the facilities in Spokane Health, we met the hospital's director, Sam Bithi. He walked us through how a seemingly routine business proposal evolved into a partnership with Global Face Human Resource, the company run by Festus Omwamba.
The client or the agent is just supposed to reach us and tell us the kind of medical his or her clients want to be done.
Bithi says the deal was good, but ended it a month later after controversial media reports started emerging.
You know, taking people to go to military war zones, we just felt like, no, this is not a good thing. And then the government was against it.
Do you have documents to that extent?
Correct, sir.
But this is not the first time Omwamba is caught up in a recruitment saga. Last year, he appeared before the Senate's Labor Relations Committee alongside the Cabinet Secretary, Alfred Mutua.
We are actually in an era where criminals are being supported by institutions, independent institutions that are supposed to protect Kenyans.
Of course, guys, if you followed closely Oroba Gloria, she came out to indicate these controversial indications that we have officers that are working against the Kenyan security. She indicated that some of these officers, including Alfred Mutua, among other popular individuals in the government, are colluding with external individuals to take Africans, or rather Kenyans, to other nations for very tasky jobs. Even though these jobs are indicated to be safe, most of them are insecure for the Kenyans. The insecurity level of Kenya is not just inside, but it's working also externally for the benefits of certain individuals. And of course, the alleged man who has come out to be reported again might just have to be acquitted and laid free if you are not careful, unless tables turn. Now, expose has been revealing networks of people who are sending Kenyans to Ukraine, and let's just get to understand this.
And we want to stay on that story tonight. Hundreds of Kenyans have been lured to the ongoing Ukraine-Russian war, leaving families in distress following reports of deaths in the battlefields. Since Citizen TV first exposed the story, many families have come out to look for answers. But months later, the government is yet to tell Kenyans what really transpired, apart from one suspect who was arrested and taken to court. Tonight, we expose the inside networks, how government officials from the Department of Defense, Immigration, DCI, and the Ministry of Labor have been aiding the export of Kenyans to the Russian war. Here is Citizen TV's investigative reporter, Ode Francis, on tonight's special feature, The Russian Syndicate.
On October 11th, 2025, an investigation by Citizen TV exposed a syndicate many Kenyans would hardly believe.
Nilitoka na tourist visa. Nikiambiwa nikifika huko natafutiwa kazi.
Young men were being recruited and flown to Russia, not for jobs, not for studies, but to fight as soldiers in the ongoing war against Ukraine. What began as a shocking revelation has since unfolded into a trail of anguish. For months, we have continued to document the pain, the unanswered questions, and the growing fear that more Kenyans would be trapped in a war far from home. The government has remained largely silent, issuing brief, careful worded statement offering little clarity about the network behind the recruitment. For weeks, we have been tracing one man believed to be at the center of this operation, the man who insiders say secured the deal to send Kenyans to fight for the Russian army. For his own safety, we will refer to him as Reds. In exclusive conversations, Reds made explosive claims. He alleges that very senior individuals within government structures are aware of and possibly involved in the export of Kenyan fighters to Russia. It all began with a phone call in December 2024. On the other end of the line, a Russian national who introduced himself as Mike, a man we have now established to be Mikhail Lyapin. Investigation showed Lyapin was operating in Kenya and was in a company of another Russian national, identified as Dmitry, a man said to have links with the Kenyan embassy. Their pitch was direct: recruit young Kenyan men, facilitate their travel to Russia, and deploy them into the Russian army. A deal dressed as opportunity, but one that Red says he immediately knew was dangerous. Still, he took it up.
Well, on the issue of Russian recruitment, I have one friend by name Mike.
According to our findings, Reds began reaching out to contacts within Kenya security establishment. His search led him to a senior officer at the DOD headquarters.
The opportunity was they needed to recruit trained ex-military personnel who can join the Russian army. The specification was strictly someone had to be from the forces or from the police, or either having basic paramilitary training like the MS. At that time, when you approached me, I had a contract of recruiting security guards to Qatar and Dubai, which I had quite deployed a good number.
In April 2025, Reds convened a meeting at a popular entertainment joint along Mombasa Road, where they presented details of the Russian deal, an arrangement the army brigadier promptly accepted.
When he asked me about that, I told him the best thing I could do is to find some friends from the defense forces and ask them how that can be done. So I approached a few friends in the Department of Defense, and they told me it was something possible. They could give it a trial. One of the friends that I actually went to ask, the first guy, he told me that's a deal. Yeah, maybe I shall write you later. So I linked them with the guy, the Russian guy.
Then Reds relayed positive feedback to Russian Mike. Army brigadier had agreed to join the deal. The next individual they contacted was another high-ranking officer at the DCI headquarters. The DCI officer also quickly accepted the deal. At this point, the Russian deal had secured the endorsement of high-ranking officers at the DOD and at DCI headquarters. Reds returned feedback to Mike saying that both had accepted the deal. The next connection to cover up the syndicate was top Ministry of Labour officials who were the link to the Travel and Labour Export Agencies, and the Association of Skilled Migrants Agencies of Kenya, ASMAC chairman Francis Wahome was looped in and endorsed the deal. The Immigration Department was the next government agency to be drawn into the syndicate. These officials were the first to reach an agreement with the Russian operative, Mikhail. Their role in the deal was straightforward: to turn a blind eye to the recruitment activities while facilitating the transportation of Kenyans to the Russian army. Citizen TV has established that bribe package for the syndicate was structured by individual transported to Russia. Labor officials received 5,000 shillings per person. DCI officer at the airport received 20,000 shillings per person, and immigration officers received a staggering 50,000 shillings per person. This is the message that those who wanted to travel to Russia received upon inquiry. It read age between 21 to 47 years with no diseases, physically fit and willing to work in the army, understanding the risk of the job of a soldier in the army in the Ministry of Defense of Russia on a contract basis on a period of 1 year. Conditions of the offer were a one-time bonus of 1.6 million shillings, agency services fee of 650,000 shillings, which included airplane tickets, visa, transport, accommodation, food and full support till successful employment. The job had a monthly salary of 280,000 scalable.
So all the documentation, the visas, the air tickets, the invitation letters and everything were fully arranged by Mike. Yeah. So what was basically happening from our side, various agents and various people, was just a referral. You make referral.
Alright guys, so you realize that syndicates are happening to operate in this country are actually risking the lives of many young people. Now of course currently people have been forced into Ukrainian war, Russian military, and all sorts of jobs that are not secure for them. And we've seen the Ministry of Labor, the DCI, the DOD, and all those other people who are supposed to protect Kenyans are blind about it. And of course, when you look at the many people are even rushing to the Gulf, most of them go through very difficult situations, but nobody cares about their welfare. Even when people talk about it, it's just ignored. Now, another saga that is coming out is the RSF passport saga. Gachagua has been allegedly saying that more RSF officials are receiving passports for selfish purposes. Let's look into this.
A senior figure in Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, Algonei Hamdan Dagalo Musa, secured a Kenyan passport that facilitated his international movements, have ignited heated debate across public spaces. DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua now claims that Algonei is not the only one. He alleges that more RSF commanders could be residing in Kenya, with some holding Kenyan passports. His claims come even as Kenyan immigration officials remain tight-lipped on how exactly Algonei, who is the younger brother of RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, alias Hemeti, and who is facing sanctions from the United States, obtained the Kenyan passport.
It's not just the brother of Hemeti who has a Kenyan passport. It's many commanders of the rebel group and sympathizers of that group. They have Kenyan passports because their operations are in Kenya. And we are asking, much as this brother of Hemeti has been identified for sanctions by the US and other bodies, I am of the opinion that the international community need actually to apply these sanctions to the real commanders of RSF, that is William Ruto, and senior officials of his government, because that's where the problem is. If we were not helping Hemeti and RSF to market their gold through Kenya to the to the Middle East, they will not be having the capacity to purchase arms and ammunition for continuing with the war in Sudan.
Let's circle back to the latest updates on the just concluded by-elections and voters in Isiolo South.
Previously, on keeping up with the Kenya Kwanza government.
It's not just the brother of Hemeti who has a Kenyan passport. is many commanders of the rebel group.
We all know that neighbor, the one who preaches the gospel at the top of their lungs in the morning, only to leave the back door unlocked for the local drug dealer by sunset. This is the neighbor who crawls into bed with anything as long as it is breathing and wears a skirt. In fact, when the sponsor is wealthy, this neighbor is more than happy to drop their dignity at the doorstep. Now, if you're wondering who that neighbor is, stop guessing. It is Kenya. Kenya has officially become a certified geopolitical concubine. She grabs smoochers with Washington at lunchtime, breaks bread with Beijing by evening, and somewhere in between finds time to twerk for Sudan's notorious RSF rebels while insisting it is merely playing peacemaker. On the 6th, Kenyans woke up to another uncomfortable headline that a senior member of Sudan's Rapid Support Forces allegedly holds a Kenyan passport. According to an unupdated memo from the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, Algoni Hamdan Dagalo Musa, the baby brother of feared RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Hemeti Dagalo, is beating international sanctions using a Kenyan passport. And it doesn't stop there. U.S. authorities describe Algoni as part of the RSF's financial machinery, sourcing weapons, vehicles, and logistical support, and coordinating funding networks for a paramilitary group accused of grave human abuses in Sudan. He was sanctioned in 2024, effectively restricting his international movement. But as you all know, sanctions are only a problem if you don't have a friend like Kenya. While the world closed its doors, Nairobi apparently handed him a Kenyan passport. With this document, he has reportedly been breezing through immigration points, dodging arrests and accessing global financial systems, all while disguised as a random Kenyan born somewhere in Nairobi, and yet official records list him as born on August 7th, 1990 in Nyala, North Sudan.
It's not just the brother of Hemedi, because he might need the services of Hemedi. He might need the services of Hemedi because these people are in Nairobi. Young people, we are tired of the old people. If Moi is going, Moi must go with the old. Now we were targeting Kibaki. Moi must go with the old. And that's I made it. It was the back page of the Nation newspaper, and also the whole media was there. You inside, then you'll be brought to the court for the prosecutions.
And the prosecutors are
the Mungikis. The Mungikis. Everything was Mungiki. And we even sacked chiefs. No chief will come around. There was CSS and all manner of these people. They were not allowed. We were the power unto ourselves. And we were in control of everything. The whole CPD had to come and beg. Because we were running the economy. We were collecting money from Matatu, money from people who are building houses, money from anything. The commission must be ready at least 2 years before election. Now it's at least 1 year before election. So anybody can go to court using legal report and stop it, which Ruto will be happy with it. And he can sponsor somebody to go and do it. That's number one. Number two, there is a motion taken to parliament by Ishongwa. Ishongwa is saying that a bill that be passed to say that if a president is declared president-elect, be given the authority. As he's waiting for the being sworn in, he will be full-fledged president. Protection, security, and everything. Anybody who will try to challenge, it will be 10 years. 10 years.
Imprisonment.
That is when you will see Tundulisu in Kenya. That's when you see Gwajima in Kenya. You see. So those are two indicators
saying that Ruto is not ready to relinquish power. The guys who died, it's about the tycoons there who were doing their businesses here. The Sudanese are in Kireleshwa. They are all over here. They are controlling their country from Nairobi. They are controlling their country from Uganda, Kampala. They are controlling their country from Mali, Bamako. They are controlling their country from Addis Ababa. That's how things are operating.
All right. So you've seen how insecurity is actually becoming a problem in Kenya, and it's because, as you've heard, Kenya is that ready to sit with anybody they want. Of course, Boko, the president of Botswana, challenged Trump when Trump summoned him to go to US for discussions in business. Boko told him that instead he should be the one going there because he wants business and not him. And so let's look at that aspect and see something to do with Boko. I think I have that video for yesterday's video on Boko. Yes, this. Where is this? Let me just see. And Traore actually apprehended, or rather appreciated, how Boko Duma challenged Trump. Let's just see. Yeah, so the Botswana president Duma Boko actually ignored Donald Trump because he declined an invitation from the US Trump to visit the White House. According to the words of Botswana President Boko, if there is any business or official engagement to discuss, it should be in Botswana, not abroad. Botswana is tired of traveling abroad for deals that concern our, where is this again, disappeared, for deals that concern its own resources. If there is genuine interest in our resources, come to Botswana so we can talk business. Let us respect the principle of commerce. Buyers should go to sellers. If the situation is reversed, then the buyer's interest is not truly valuable. All right? So actually, that is one Pan-Africanism movement that Traore has been appreciating. And Traore came up with this comparative information with Kenya. Let's just look at Instagram video, a short video here first before we proceed.
A world where rules seem to matter very little, and they matter only depending on who is benefiting from them and who is wielding the stick at any given point in time. We know that public international law respects territorial integrity, it respects the sovereignty of nations. And it also requires that the people of every nation state must exercise their self-determination. They must determine what happens within their borders. And to have external powers intrude and remove any head of state, regardless of what the circumstances are, I think it's something that is utterly shocking, and it is an affront to a rule-based international order.
All right, that is TRT Africa referring to Boko Duma and the statements he issues. And of course, he did not start today, because in 2025 there was another discussion on the same. And now, just some days ago, the bomb that has been dropped lately is the decline of Boko Duma to visit US. And the demand that if there is any business negotiation to be made, it should then be made from Botswana, because they are the sellers, and not from US, who are the buyers, as that is going to violate the rule of business. What is done should be done. All right. So insecurities are equally arising in Kenya, and of course I've shown earlier in some other reactions, and this continues. So let's come to an end of this. I don't know how many minutes we've taken. There is a closure here that's blocking my view, but I appreciate, unless there is something I need to cover. And you can drop your comments, you can drop your views. Please subscribe to the channel, because we are still battling on our way to the 500 subscribers here, and I really appreciate those of you who are supporting big time. But when you look at Boko, Duma, as well as Traore, and there is another president, the president of which country, they really amaze me in how they handle matters. They are into Pan-Africanism, unlike other presidents who shake and actually go into this international agreement so fast. These are some of the presidents who are least shaken, and they stand on their foot while actually arguing for. Jen Kinyanchui, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up, as we are still battling to ensure that our channel grows, because there is so much to talk about. So let me finish with the Clever Traore's aspect of comparative analysis. I want us to look through a channel here that we have been shown what has been happening in other countries, and there was a comparative aspect. I don't know how Traore came up with. I want you to look at this map here. The fact that we have development even elsewhere, as we are talking about Singapore. If we look at Burkina Faso, it's a country that has been able to do a lot. And you look at the development of roots, they have been able to do the Ogadogo. I used to hear that when my father used to enhance geography in us, telling us about Ogadogo and Bobo Adoloso, a road that is almost 332 kilometers. In our own country, we are planning to have Rironi Mau Summit Road, 175 kilometers, and the road design is 4 to 6 lane, whereas the Ogadogo Bobo Dialuso in Burkina Faso, it's an 8 lane. Can you imagine that? 8 lane route, and the total cost was just 46 billion. Guys, what is this? When you look at the situation of Kenya, we are quoting 200 billion. My goodness. The cost per kilometer for the Ogadogo road was 139 million. As in Kenya, we are doing 1.14 billion per kilometer. And that was a fully government-funded road in Burkina Faso, while in Kenya it's public-private partnership. Now, external borrowing, there was none in Burkina Faso, but in Kenya, we have investor finance. So what is this telling us? It's actually telling us that we lack the financial integrity, or rather planning, and therefore, as we talk about heading all the way to Singapore, I don't know how soon that can be and how feasible this is for us as citizens. So thank you so much for watching. We've taken about 33 minutes. Adios for you. We'll be meeting again on other topics. Bye-bye.